Hi, this is Iwona, and this quick video is going to show you around Lightroom. So when you come to the workshop, or if you want to purchase any of my videos, this is going to show you how to move around Lightroom, where the tools are, and most of all how to import and how to export from Lightroom. So it's like a basic Lightroom video. Okay, first of all, what I want you to know is how to import your photos to Lightroom. Right now we are in Lightroom. You can see here's library. This is all your photos are here listed on your left. There are a lot in my library. Then you have the develop mode. This is the second one here. And this one is where you edit your photos. So how to get your photos here into the library? You need to click import. It's here in the left bottom corner. Just click import. It takes you to a window like that. Let's just not import my photos here. This is silly. Okay, now go for photos and let's choose something. Right now what I have here, those are my JPEG files, but it doesn't matter. All you need to know here and here and here. So first what you see on this side, this is your source. Here where you choose where are the photos right now. For example, on your SD card, on your desk, on your desktop. So we can import the photos to Lightroom, and then you have a few options. First is a copy as the DNG, which this is the option that I use when I download my photos from my SD card. The second one is just copy as they are in your raw format, whatever that is. And you can also move the photos, so you can just take them from here and put it to somewhere to just delete them from the original place. Or you can just add no moving around. This is the option right now, add, so there are no options here, but let's just click copy. And now you can see what's going on here. This is the destination. So you just have to choose a destination here. Usually Lightroom organizes your photos and chooses a date format, but you can also choose an option to put it in subfolder or just name your folders yourself. But this is what you need to know. So just choose the source, then click the photos you want to import here. You can uncheck all, choose only the ones you want to import, choose an option you want to copy, move or add, and then choose the destination folder. When you're done, just click import. I'm just going to click cancel because those are my JPEG files. I don't need them in Lightroom. And we are back to basic library mode. In the library mode on your right side, what you have is just quick develop, keywording. This is not something that you need to know for the workshop or for the editing videos, but those are quite useful options that you might want to use somewhere in the future. Let's just go to develop. And again, on your left side, what you have here is this navigator, and this shows you a little preview of the photo. It really helps with editing. At least for me, I always use this. I always have this open. Then below, what you have here is a presets. And you can set your own presets, but this is not important at this moment. And then history. This is the whole history of editing this photo. And down in the bottom, collections, which is also a cool feature where you can add photos to your collection. And you don't have to move them around in your windows or Finder. You can just store them here in collections in Lightroom to be able to find your skies, or your I don't know, winter photos, whatever you want to. On your here in the middle you have the photo, of course. So if I click on this, it just it enlarges the photo. This is the zooms in. In this case, it just zoomed in to 1:1. So I'm clicking here above the navigator to choose my zoom. I can choose with those arrows. I can choose any zoom I want. If I want a really huge one, I can choose one. And usually it really depends on the size of your screen. And so if you could just click, it just goes from the last to used, it just goes from one to another. And on the right side, here on the top, what you have is histogram. Then below histogram, you've got a few. Those are the tools. Those are the tools like we are going to use. The first one is a crop tool, so we just have to crop here. And if you click here, what it gives you is as crop and straighten. Okay, and this is original. If you click on those arrows, it will show you just a couple different options of choosing a different ratio for your photo. And this is a lock that is just gonna lock the original ratio that you had in your photo. And below you can just straighten your photo here like that. You can also use auto. If you have a horizon line, or like here there's a building, so it has the line that goes up, then you can choose auto and it will just automatically straighten your photo. The second option is a spot removal. We'll just try to remove something over here, just enlarge. And spot removal just allows you to remove simple objects, like in this case this little thingy here. And now what it actually works in two different modes. One is heal and one is clone. Clone, it just would just clone whatever you want. For example, let's just try. Yeah, I just cloned her eye here. So this is not what I actually want. I'm just going to delete that. But you can see that actually it cloned exactly the same thing. Or you can just work as heal. So we'll try to suggest something that will fit this area. Then the next option, those are red eye color correction, which we don't need. The third one here is a gradient. Let's just try a gradient on this image. Okay, I just made a gradient that I started down on the bottom and I just moved up and just dragged this. I'm going to change now my settings here. You can see what's going on. This brightens the bottom and darkens the bottom. Right now, if I use exposure, so all of those here, the first panel that just ends here when it says basic, this everything in here applies to this gradient. So whatever you do here, it will be applied only on the bottom of this image where the gradient starts. So for example, if I darken this, the bottom of the image will get darkened. You can always go back to any filters that you used. You can always edit them. If you don't like what you did somewhere, you don't need this filter at all, you can always hit delete. This will remove this filter from the image. This is, for example, this is another gradient that I used for the image. I can also edit this and change the settings anytime I want. Let's just remove this filter as well and go on. The next one is a radial. You just click on that radial, and so what I do, I just click and drag out, and it just creates a circle or an oval. And now you can edit anything that's inside or outside of the circle. Right now what I have here is this is invert. So if I don't have this checked, right now I'm editing the outside of the circle. If I click this, I'm editing the inside of that circle. Also, what it has is called feathering. This is feather, and the higher the number, the bigger the feather is. So it just blends in slowly. If you move it down, it will create a very harsh edge filter. Just move it like that. Here. And again, you can always go back and edit this. If you want to add any filter, you can click here. This is done. Let's just go back and click on the radial again. And if I click on the radial, I can see this pin. This is the beginning where I started dragging the filter. You can click here, and now I can edit this filter as I wish. If I want to create a new filter, I can also click done and again click on the tool, but I can also use this option that says new, and you can drag a new filter over here and create another radial. Also, there's another cool feature to this, which is brush. So I can brush within that radial filter. I'm just going to show you brush as a tool right now, so we can apply the same settings to this radial filter. Just remove those radials that I did and go to the brush tool. The last one is a brush tool. So what it also has the same sliders as radial and as gradient. All the difference is that this has a size, the size of your brush. Also has something like called feather. So this is how soft your brush is. The bigger the number here, the softer the brush is. It also has flow, and with flow, usually you shouldn't use it at 100% because now then it's very difficult to control it. I would suggest go to something like 50 and try to use it this way. You can control it depending on what you're doing on your photo, but if you are just starting, just set it to 50 and try it like that. And I always suggest not to have auto mask on. This is a very, very useful tool, but only if you really want to use it. For example, if I'm what auto mask does, I'm just going to try to show you what auto mask does. You can see that there's a line of this building here. This is on the end of the wall. So for example, if I wanted to darken the wall only, and I do not want to create any kind of halo just outside of that wall, and I'm just going to delete this, and what I can do is click auto mask. I will try to be more precise and try to stay on this side of the wall. What it does, it just looks for the edges and trying not to move this filter outside of that wall. Let's just click auto mask off and try to do the same. Right now, if I'm putting this on, you can see that it goes out behind out of this edge. So usually you don't want to have this clicked when you're, for example, doing like a vignette or something, because it will try to detect the edges and do really nasty stuff to your photo. But in cases that you actually want to have the edge detected, then you can choose auto mask. And those are all the tools here. And so just click done and go back to the basic panel. Right now what we have here, this is basic. Those adjustments here, those are just sliders that you can apply to the whole photo. Because everything here were just local adjustments. But when it says basic, those are global adjustments. You're just adding, for example, exposure all over the image. And below that there's tone curve, which also is a powerful tool. You can control your highlights, shadows, and midtones with this. Down below, HSL, which stands for Hue Saturation Luminance. That allows you to control the colors on your photo. We're just going, if you are coming to the workshop, we are going to use that a lot. And also the split toning, which is right below. And what split toning does, it allows you to add any kind of color to either highlights or shadows. So you can click highlights and then you can choose your color that you can add to your highlights. You can create any kind of like vintage tone colors. Let's just try to do something vintage tones on this. So it's up to you what kind of a creative colors you want to choose for your photo. Down below, this is detail. This is for sharpening, and I also use this for sharpening my photo here in Lightroom. So we'll be working with this. But one tip that you can use every time is that you can click Alt, and if you click Alt, then you can move those sliders and see what happens to the photo. For example, in masking, when you hold Alt, it shows you how it removes the sharpening from bigger plane areas, from those out of focus ones, or from sky or from skin. And the next couple of tools, we are not going to use them very much, maybe, but you can go through them yourself and see what they do. This is not the most important parts that you have to know for the workshop. Okay, and there's one last thing that you need to know is how to export your photo to a JPEG file. So what you need to go up here to File, and from this file you need to choose Export. And you got a couple different places here. First, there's this export location. You have to choose where you want to export your photo. Click choose, and then you can choose it in your Finder or Explorer. And another one is renaming your files, and you can choose like date, file name, custom names, whatever you want. I just use the date file name. And the other one, the next one is file settings, and you want to choose. You can choose JPEG or a PNG or anything you want to export your photos, and then you can choose the color space. I usually use sRGB. Then the quality of your photo. You can resize your files to any kind of dimensions. For example, in this case, what you have here, for the longer edge, this number is good for Facebook. And you can also set a resolution here, like 300 is a good one for printing. This is sharpen for. You can add more sharpening than you've done already here. In detail, you can add more sharpening by clicking here, especially if you are editing and quickly exporting a lot of files. Instead of moving those sliders over there, you can just click sharpen for and choose appropriate one. And down here below, you can use watermark and just choose your watermark. Just click here and it says edit watermarks, and here you can just add your own watermark to your photo. You can set a few different options here, because it will just add the watermark in the place that you choose, but it will also always do this in the same spot, like here. You can just put it where you want, but it will be put there every time. So you have to, for example, if you want to have your logo here, on a different image here, on sound you want them here, you have to set a few options, save a few watermarks, and then choose the appropriate one for your image. And this is it when it comes to Lightroom. And one more thing, that you can click or right click on your photo. If you right click on your photo, you've got this those options here, and the options that I use for editing my photo from Lightroom in Photoshop. I choose this option, it goes edit, and I choose the first one. So if you want to see the tools that I use in Photoshop, go to the next video. It should be there somewhere. Got the other link on YouTube. Is going to be a link to the other video is going to be added in the description. And also, if you want to learn more about my actual editing, not just about Lightroom tools, go to my website, iwonapodlasinska.com, and you will find editing videos there. Also, I will add a link to the video on YouTube. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye!